Oh boy. Okay. I woke up today and I decided that I wanted to try to make a video about something that is literally impossible. Um, well, yes, but no. So still working on what the title is going to be. But I today want to talk about dreams, and not the dreams that we were talking about last time. I want to talk about actual dreams, like dreams in your sleep, daydreaming, any of that kind of stuff. The reason is that we are reaching a point scientifically where we are asking questions that have not been asked before in the past. And I know for me personally, I have had, and this stuff sounds crazy, which is why societally it's not accepted. And I'm gonna continue to to say that this stuff sounds crazy, which is why societally it is not accepted. I have had a ton of experiences that are, for instance, paranormal, unexplainable, dreams. And occasionally those dreams are, of stuff that happens a day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, the night, that day, whatever, maybe even 3 years later. And I can make my entire, an entire separate video talking about, just the dreams that I've had and how insane they are. And I'm sure that you guys, all of you guys that do dream, I know that there's this percentage of people that don't. But I know that for you guys that do dream, it's crazy. It is absolutely insane. And I wanted to get into that today. I wanted to talk about that. Before I even get into any of that, I want you guys, if you guys have ever had a dream where, something in the future, takes place, maybe you don't even know it's in the future, and then you get to that point in your life and you see it occurring around you, and you're having this extreme sense of deja vu, right? Deja vu. Well, I want you to leave that in the comments, but also, that is what we're going to try to explain today. We're going to try to explain the dream to future phenomenon and deja vu. And a better scientific terminology for dream to future phenomenon would be precognition, or future precog, or mental precog, or all of these different, terms. And again, I woke up today and I didn't know half of it. 70-90% of this stuff. I just, it's like, okay, I can't keep having these dreams that, reoccurring dreams, for example, where I like right now, not literally right now, but whenever I go to sleep, I have been having a reoccurring dream where not the same thing happens, but I am in the same area. I have an apartment, I have a life, I have a roommate, I decorate, but it is not the way that I decorate here. I go to the store, I go to restaurants, I, attended college, what is going on? And I want to make this very clear. Despite the fact that I am Spider-Man, and despite the fact that I did bring over Wolverine, Storm, and all of the best other heroes to fight in the battle world against Dr. Doom and Secret Wars, not only did I do that, okay, so I'm into this multiversal stuff, right? And in my opinion, there is no way to get into any of this. If you want to start to understand deja vu, if you want to understand dreams, there is no way to avoid basically the idea of a quantum multiverse. And you're going to see me looking over here. I know I said I will not write stuff down. Brother, this stuff is out of my league. I try and did try today, and I'm not going to say that this stuff is completely new to me. I have heard the terminology, but in terms of making this video today, I didn't want to come out here and be like blabbing nonsense, basically. And that may actually be what I do, despite the fact that I have tried to scientifically collect, I don't know if it would be considered a thesis or just a hypothesis or really just a theory. of course, there's going to be people that are like, well, you're wrong, this isn't true. And I'm not saying that I disagree with that. What I'm trying to say right now is that I don't know. I don't know just as much as you don't know. This is just me spitballing an idea out there. Let's put it that way. Because I would really like to understand this. I'm sure that many of you who, have had experiences along the path of mine in the sense of dreams and wanting to understand. So let's go ahead and get into this. Well, the first thing that we need to understand is what are dreams and what is happening whenever we dream. Well, we go through many different states of frequency during the day: beta, alpha, theta, and delta. These frequencies, beta, for instance, being whenever you are wide awake and alert, alpha being relaxed. Alpha could also be daydreaming, sitting on your couch, just that kind of stuff. And then you get into theta, which is REM sleep, usually the section of sleep where dreams occur. So what you're seeing is 4 to 7 hertz in theta. Alpha has anywhere from 8 to 12, beta being 13 to 30, delta being 0.5 to 4, delta being deep sleep. I regret to inform, but I didn't do any research into regarding whether nightmares occur in theta or delta. I do believe that most dreams, though, do occur in theta, and that would probably include nightmares as well. But we're going to get into that, and gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep my head on straight during this. I'm not going to lie. I really want to make this video, and I really want to try to make it understandable, and it not just be a big jumbled bunch of garbage. So please, I may have to slow down. I may have to think for a moment, but pray for me. Okay. So now we're going to kind of get into my opinions and my theories. So went over the different states of frequencies. You know that theta you sleep in. So what is actually going on? Well, I believe, and do not ask me how, do not ask me why, but I do believe that everything exists infinitely. What does this mean, Spider-Man? Well, if everything exists infinitely, then we are existing at the beginning and the end of everything. But not just that. You, me, I am existing at the beginning of my life, but also at the end of my life. But also I'm existing at 1-year-old and at 90-year-old and at whatever age that I get to infinitely across the board. I am existing across all of them. If there are parallel realities and they exist infinitely, then infinitely I exist. That's established. Many of you may have heard the term known as the butterfly effect. What the butterfly effect is, for those who do not know, it is the idea that every single choice that you make has an effect and has a consequence, and it leads to something more. What more does it lead to? Well, you don't know, and the product of which we live in today is the consequences of all of the quote-unquote butterfly effects that have happened around us for the past however long that we have been going on. Right? But that is not a promise. Those choices are not a promise. Right? So if this were to exist infinitely, then it could be assured, and you could be assured that there would be differences. There would be differences in our daily lives. There would be differences in the names of our friends, family, pets, supermarkets, theaters, cars. Differences in the aesthetic and the way that they look and the way that everything. I need you to understand that. Anything that your brain can conjure, if this is existing infinitely, that can exist. I want you to think on that for a moment. I want you to think on the implications of what that statement means. This is not me speaking kind of out of my ass, and there is a lot of quantum theorists who will, kind of back this idea up of the quantum multiversal theory. And this is not me. Obviously, I am into more. I'm just, I am Spider-Man. No. I'm into Marvel. I'm into all of this, but you have to understand that a lot of this, for me, I actually started looking into this years ago. Whenever I say years ago, I mean probably around 8-9 years ago now, and this was before watching any. When growing up, I actually didn't watch a lot of stuff. The stuff that I did watch really stuck with me. That being Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, right? I didn't watch a ton of stuff, and so I didn't have any introduction into the idea of what the multiverse was, how it could work, time travel, any of this stuff. So this is it really, in a lot of ways, I am, using what I have kind of conjured up in my head, but trying to combine it with some of these scientific terminologies, which is kind of what I'm going to try to do today. So if we are under the pretense that everything is existing infinitely, well, that would mean that you, right now, have a certain frequency. And right now, I have a certain frequency, and it is probably higher, given that I'm awake, I'm alert, I am making this video, my brain is on fire right now because I am trying to understand all of this stuff, and it is... You know what I mean? But, anyways, so the first thing that I want to get into is quantum entanglement. For many of you who don't know, this is one of the many subfactors of like the quantum theory or quantum mechanics. Any of this quantum stuff, fun stuff, right? The actual some of the best quantum theorists will and scientists will tell you they don't even understand it themselves. So for me to try to pretend that I understand any of this, I'm not going to. But there are some interesting for me overlaps that I want to look into. So again, the first one being quantum entanglement. This is the idea of a shared state, the idea of in spontaneous correlation and no communication. So what this means is that scientists believe that an atom has basically a shared state with another atom somewhere light years away on the opposite side of the universe. And the idea is, if you interact with said atom right here, and you were to draw a line, metaphorical line, to this other atom, billions, dectillions, nonillions miles away, and I were to interact with this atom here and cause friction, that this friction would, faster than light, FTL, go to this other atom and interact with it, causing friction. How they know that, I don't know. I didn't, get to look into all of that. But whenever I think of what this means, I'm not thinking in terms of we're interacting with an atom in the same universe. Hear me out on this. What if, whenever we dream, we are entering a different frequency, a different state of consciousness, and our soul, our consciousness, is able to rise up metaphorically rise up out of our body, but basically we are like a tuning instrument, right? And so our frequency is changing, and now we are tuning into a different frequency. And what if, for a second, we could tune into a frequency of an equally probable version of us? So what's going on whenever we sleep is known as neural oscillations, or altered neural oscillatory states. So we are going through these different states in our sleep. And what if at some points, so imagine it like this. At some points during our sleep, we're vibrating, and we're at this level, kind of right here. But then for 5 minutes, we go up here. And for those 5 minutes, our brain can condense time itself due to it not being constrained to that. So for instance, you could have a 30-hour dream in 5 minutes. What if even for 5 minutes, we're moving up to a vibration, and our brain is basically catching that frequency, grabbing onto it, and then we are basically, stay with me here, we are basically thrust into the subconscious of an equally probable version of us. So whenever we think that we are having dreams, that we are going into the future, or we are having dreams and we hear this person is going to die from somebody. Or we hear, you're going to get in a car accident. They're going to get in a car accident. This is going to happen to this person. That's going to happen to this person. You see a mountain that you climb in 3 years. You see a cabin that you stay in for your sister's wedding. You see anything. The idea is that you are not literally traveling time. It is that you have experienced all of time. You have experienced time because time doesn't basically fucking exist. I don't know if that's going to get me banned. I hope it doesn't. Lord. Okay, I need to calm down. Yeah, so if you're looking at time as a measurement, once you get outside of Earth, it kind of is negated, and even within Earth, we use it as a measurement because we don't understand the actual fundamentals of what are going on. Okay, so Spider-Man, what the hell are you talking about? Really good question. I actually don't know. That's why I have my handy dandy board here. So what do I want to talk about next? Perpetual resonance across parallel probability fields. Yes, that is the scientific term for what I am trying to describe right now, is perpetual resonance across parallel probability fields. What does this mean? Again, so perpetual resonance would be the idea that our frequency or our resonance or our soul is able to go across or resonate. Resonating mean that it is, I'm not going to, resonating across. So across to me would be, we are resonating across, I guess, dimensions, parallel dimensions. And whenever we do that, we are entering the subconscious position of a parallel version of ourself that is existing in that time space that is currently going on for them. So while it may be, 2025 for you, it may be 2035 for this other version of you. Or maybe you have a dream that, your partner cheats on you, right? Or they do something really specific, and then the next day it happens. It's because you didn't predict the future, and your intuition isn't just so good that it literally nailed it. It's because this moment has happened over and over and over and over, and it's causing a ripple effect, right? It's literally causing a ripple effect within you, right? So this goes back into quantum entanglement with if atoms can be interacted with, and it can have a subsequent interaction billions of years away, whatever. Let's apply that to the idea that that is actually what is going on with the multiverse. And whenever you have interactions in your daily life, it is expelled from you and it is sent out in every direction. Okay. What else do I have written down on here? Cross-frequency consciousness resonance. This again is the idea that there is a shared state of consciousness that we all share, and I believe it to be the soul, right? So I believe, I'm not gonna, there are some people who are like, oh, not everyone has a soul, and this and that. I don't believe that at all. I believe that everyone has a soul. I think that some people are a little bit more open, spiritually than others, and it allows them to have, more instances of the unexplained, let's put it that way, because, that's just is what it is. But essentially, this is what I'm talking about. I'm losing my train of thought, right? This is a really hard thing to cover. It really is. And I want to be clear that I do want to try to get to the bottom of whatever's going on. So in terms of giving a better analogy to what I'm trying to explain with the basically cross-frequency correlation resonance, I want you to think about it like this. I'm going to try to show this drawing up on the board that I drew. It is a tower right here, and you can see two signals. You can see it. This is for instance, like a 5G Wi-Fi tower. It's got an A signal and a B signal. you can see that the guy with the cell phone is receiving the A signal, whereas the guy driving the car is receiving the B signal. He's listening to sports channel. So these are different. It's coming from the same source, this tower, but it is emitting different frequencies, causing interactions between different physical devices. So what if we looked at it like this? Let me, for a moment, never mind, we're not going to draw. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to add a picture in later of what I drew. But in relation to there being one central source, and so for instance, this one central source is basically going to be you, but for another version of you, it would also be them, if that makes sense. So like, you can think of yourself as one consolidated central source that is emitting frequency, and then every once in a while, that frequency, while in a altered state, such as daydreaming, dreaming, you are entering this altered frequency, you are able to see basically into the, it's not, again, you're not time traveling. There isn't the travel of time happening, right? You are seeing events happening at the same exact time. Or whenever you dream, again, you're seeing events happen at the same exact time. So you are essentially interacting with different sources. You may have to dream about this where this happens, but then you may have a dream about that where that happens, and they're all different. It is basically you sending out a signal, like a cell phone reception tower, to different versions of you, which act as like the cell phone or the car or this or that. And you were basically getting their input. You're getting like, so if you were to like be flipping through channels and you're kind of far away from anything, you may like flip a channel and you hear like, today, static. But you heard the like, and today part, so you knew that the signal was there. There is something, and then you hear static. That could be basically what's going on in our dreams, and what is actually happening is that our brain is stretching these moments, because that's what brains do, that's what dreams do. They stretch very, very small moments into long moments, and so we are experiencing this. This is something, okay, we're not changing topics, but this is something that I discussed with one of my friends the other day, and it's, what if, like, in, you know, a lot of these dreams where, like, something happens that predicts the future that we can have, what if it's not exactly how it's going to be in the dream, in the sense of, like, you are in a completely different setting, in a completely different space, right? But there is elements that are the same. And what if that is because your brain has received this little short, and on today, it's received that little short, and now it is using that, and it is like a little, it starts off as like this little ball, and then it just makes it into art, basically, into a dream. And so you have something, you have remnants of basically going up or down in this frequency field and experiencing something that is not you, but is still you. Man, I hope any of this makes sense. I don't even know if this makes sense to me, guys. I'm gonna be real. Actually, I take it back. It needs to make sense, because I would really, really like to get to the bottom of this. I would really like to understand what's going on with dreams. I mean, even just recently, like 3 or 4 months ago, I had a dream that I went to a cabin, you know, with my family and a few other people that I didn't recognize. And then last weekend, I'm at, you know, a cabin with my family and a few people that I don't recognize, and everything is the same. I walked into the cabin. I had been in that cabin before in my dream. I knew exactly where to go. I knew which room I'd be staying in. Whenever the girls showed up the next day, I knew what they looked like, because I had that dream. So how is that possible? And again, I don't believe you're traveling time. So again, with this quantum entanglement theory, with the idea, again, of, I like this. I wrote the acronym P.R.A.P.F. P.R.A.P.P.F. Perpetual resonance across parallel probability fields. I love that, guys. perceptual resonance across parallel probability fields. That may just be the best thing I've ever heard. No, I'm joking, but no, I really I'm gonna keep making videos about this because at the end of the day, again, I'm not gonna claim to know any of the answers for this. I don't want to claim to know any of the answers. All I want to do is use my brain and have fun theorizing. And, you know, I actually do have a pretty well put together theory that doesn't just include, and I'm not going to get into this today. This video is already probably long, and the video would be about 20 hours if I did all of that. I do have a theory that it kind of wraps all of this unexplainable stuff into one consolidated, honestly very strong, in my opinion. Obviously, it's my theory. I've shared it as much as I can to get opinions, and I actually am getting to the point where I'm feeling confident enough to put that out there, on the internet. I don't know that I would go the route of publishing it or anything like that. I think that I literally may just put it on the channel in one way or another at some point. Because someone needs to be talking about this. There are people talking about it, but it's so seldom and few. And I love this kind of stuff. I love the idea that there is unexplained phenomenons that we could understand better scientifically, that have basically gone over the heads of everyone for a millennium, for centuries, basically, for God knows how long. And the idea is that we just haven't had the science to study it, and we do now. And what we were finding is pretty insane. I mean, for instance, with the string theory, again, I'm not going to pretend to know what the string theory is, but basically it delves into the idea that there aren't singular particles, but rather everything is connected by strings. Trust me, I don't know either. But yeah, I really do like the dream topic, and I want to continue making these videos because there's no way that I could touch on everything that I wanted to touch on in this video regarding this. But I want to try to leave you guys with this question, and the question being is, what kind of dreams are you having? And are they dreams where you're seeing the future? Are there dreams where you are seeing people you don't know, but you maybe have a close relationship with them? Are you having dreams of your parents, of that may have passed, or family members again that may have passed, or any of this stuff? If you're dreaming about any of this stuff, I would really like to know. And if you're dreaming about any other crazy stuff that's completely out of the normal, tell me that too. I would love to hear it. Man, I don't know if any of this made sense. I hope that some of it did. But I hope that you guys get something from it. And again, this isn't me giving you an answer. Obviously, quantum theory is still being studied and can be easily, in the future proven not true, which is fine. All of that's fine. I'm just certain that, what I am certain about is that these frequency states have a lot to do with it. And if we are able to go and essentially seat ourselves in the subconscious position of other versions of us in different time periods, not time periods as in we're existing in the Wild West, I just mean different time periods throughout our life, then what could we do scientifically to better control that? And what could we learn? Could we utilize that? And how? And if I can even sit here and come up with the idea of any of this, it means that yes. Because if I'm sitting here and, where I am, somebody else way smarter than me has already had this idea, most definitely. And they're trying to prove it actively, I would imagine. So again, for me, this is just me putting my idea out there. It's not me trying to like come up with something totally new or whatever. I just want you to think about this. Think about the idea that deja vu, dreams, all of this stuff, maybe from you having ripple effects, interactions through quantum entanglement with alternate versions of yourself, equally probable versions of yourself. It's crazy, right? It may just not be. Again, I'm going to keep making videos about this stuff. I hope it makes sense. And if you guys have any questions about anything, just leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to, answer anything. I'll probably be back on here really soon. Just been having a lot of ideas in my head, so I want to try to get them out there. And I hope that you guys have a good one.